Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the final round of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain. It comes at you from the wonderful Brands Hatch. My name is Connery Maddock. I'm joined by Paul Smith for this grand finale of the season. I can't wait to get it started. We've got two championships to be concerned about over the course of this evening, and we'll be sealing it all up here today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a good championship finale. Track is Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix layout. Certainly a round that I am looking forward to here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Such an historic venue as far as British motorsports is concerned. We've had so many champions crowned here in the real world over the years. It seems only right to do it in the sim racing side of things as well. But here's the overview of what's going to be going on this evening. The drivers are just about, in fact, they are currently in their lone qualifying 2 laps. They'll have 10 minutes to do those 2 flying laps. Then we'll head on to our 2 races, both of them 30 minutes. Fixed setups with standing starts here, which has been a point of contention for a couple of rounds so far this season, with drivers not quite getting themselves off the starting grid in an effective manner. Our 2 classes are our Pro category with the Porsche TT3 Cup, the 992s, of course, and then our AM category is with the Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport MRs as well. In terms of the prizes, well, that's what we're going to be giving out here at the very end of this particular event. The top 3 drivers from each class will win a half-day driving experience at the Porsche Experience Centre Silverstone. The Pro drivers will be using the Porsche 911 in that experience, and the AM drivers will be using the Porsche Cayman in that experience, the exact cars that they drive here in this series. And of course, we had word from the organizers that the prize winners will also be getting themselves a Porsche official Porsche trophy as well. That's the top 3 from each class will receive a Porsche official trophy. So that is another little thing to look forward to for your top 3. Speaking of, though, Willie, well, he's clear at the very top of the Pro Championship, so we can basically call him the champion already of that Pro class. He's so far ahead of everyone else. 50 points is the maximum you can score from any particular race evening, and Well is, well, more than that, ahead of Samuel Jordan. Then you've got Seb Hawkins there in P3 as well. Still to play for in terms of the final 2 positions inside the top 3 there in terms of the Pro class. Jack Southfield not too far away. Kieran Sharp on the outside looking into that as well. Over in the AM class in the GT4s, though, Oliver Ettridge not clear by a significant enough margin over Johnny Elliott. So there's still a little situation there for the leads of the AM class that we have to be concerned about. Adam Holloway's not too far away whatsoever either. Graham Brown and Adam Locke will round out the top 5 in that particular class, Paul. But yeah, this is looking like it's going to be a fantastic end to the championship, Paul. We've only had 4 rounds, but it seems like we've had a definitely a complete season's worth of action.
We certainly have, and yes, the Pro Championship may be done and dusted in terms of a points advantage, but I'm intrigued to see whether Will Eatwell can manage to have a perfect season. He's won every race so far, including at Silverstone at the start of October, Donington and Snetterton last week. So I want to see if Will Eatwell can get a perfect season.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the stories coming into this one, of course. It would be a fantastic feat, but here's where we're racing here today. Of course, down in Kent, Brands Hatch really needs no introduction. So it's going to be a fantastic event here. Of course, with it being Brands Hatch, Paul, it's going to be quite interesting in terms of the overtaking opportunities, because, of course, you have that obvious opportunity on the brakes into Druids as long as you can get a good run out of Paddock Hill Bend. You can go side by side elsewhere on the circuit. We've seen some surprise moves at Surtees as well as towards the middle sector, but it is a tough track to try and negotiate your way around, at least in a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hawthorns, down Pilgrims, drop into Hawthorns is a good move, but it's a brave move if you make it into Hawthorns. But you can set somebody up through Hawthorns, through Westfield, towards Dingledale and Sheen Corner. But certainly it's a tricky track. It's not the widest track either, so qualifying will be important for those drivers out here today.
Indeed it will, and well, I certainly can't wait to get started. Drivers are already out there, by the way, as they're getting themselves their, well, at least their first flying lap in. You can see how the order looks on the left-hand side there at the moment as well. Currently, Sam Jordan currently leads the way in the pro category ahead of Will Ewell. So Ewell might actually have a little bit of competition here today, depending on how things go. In terms of AM class, it's Johnny Elliott that's really putting his best foot forwards here and gaining that provisional pole position over everyone else in AM. However, we haven't had a lap time come in just yet from Oliver Ettridge, who's our AM championship leader.
Yeah, so he's not even... Oh, is he out on track?
He is out there.
He is out, yeah. So, yeah, just not getting a lap time in yet for your championship leader in the AM class. But Ryan Elliott going up the hill, up and over the corner at Sheen. And into Sterling's we go. That's a nice corner, is that one, because it's cambered in your favour. And then you head into Clark Curve, through Clearways into Clark Curve, and then plunge downhill once again through the start and finish. Well, you can't really call it a straight here, can you? It's a big curve, is this one, into Paddock Hill Bend. And a good lap time from Ryan. That moves him up into 4th place.
Very hilly curve as we have a look down into the AM category. Number 81, Adam Holloway, deciding to bring that car down on towards the pit lane. So not going to continue on with that particular lap. In fact, he was out of laps to use anyway in terms of fast ones. So you can understand his diving down on towards the pit lane. We just got a couple of minutes here left in qualifying. A few drivers yet to get themselves their lap times in. Ollie Ettridge is on the flying lap right now. There's number 89 just coming across the line. That's George Cullinan, who's already completed his amount of allotted fast laps. So there'll be no improvement here this particular time round. So I guess we're just sort of all waiting around for Ettridge at the moment. Yeah,
Ettridge is the only one who is putting the laps in right now. So he's currently on his first of 2. Remember, you only get 2 flying laps here. And Cullinan, well, he's had his 2 laps, so they're done. So the time on your screen is what is set at 29.864. He will not improve for the rest of qualifying. But Oliver Ettridge, your AM championship leader, is coming towards the end of a lap right now, and he is getting himself set up for the end of that lap. He's at his first flying lap as he's going to head into Clark Curve, and hopefully we get sight of the driver in the number 57 as he's coming across the line now.
Yeah, he absolutely is. So this initial lap time there for Ollie Ettridge actually only gets him up as far as P17 overall. That's P8 in terms of the AM category there, but at least he has another lap to try and make this one work. He's got plenty of time left on the clock to get this done. It's only a minute and a half in terms of lap times, so he will be able to make this one count as long as he doesn't step a foot out of bounds, Paul. Of course, you get any sort of instant point, including an off track here, that's going to be completely invalidating your laps. You want to make it clean here. Ettridge, though, up against it here with the pressure.
He certainly is up against it as he plunges downhill, down Pilgrim's Drop into Hawthorns. And it's a committed corner, is this right-hander. Get it up. You can use that curb to help you. And then this one, you cut the inside of that curb as much as possible. Run it out wide through Westfield, through Dingle Dell and into Sheen. Of course, named after the great Barry Sheen. And through that right-hander onto the brakes again. Swing it left through Sterling's. And then on towards the end of the lap. It's looking a promising lap for him. It's whether he can just tie it all together and get himself up to the front of AM.
128.770 to beat to go pole position. Ollie Ettridge heads his way across the line now. It's a 129.2. That is simply not good enough and puts your championship leader at AM in 5th place for the start of race 1. Wow.
Well, Well, he's not had it easy all season, has Oliver. That is for sure. He has had a bad run in race 1 of the opening round of the championship. So he's somebody who he's one of the drivers, of course, got caught up in the opening lap incident at Silverstone in the very first race of this championship. So he knows what it's like to have those hard times. But certainly Oliver will be hoping for much better.
Yeah, he absolutely will. As the time will expire here in qualifying, we will get confirmation of our starting grid for the penultimate race of the championship here in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain. We're very thankful that you can all join us for this particular occasion. But of course, looking at the pro category then, Will Eatwell pole position for the number 54 once again. Samuel Jordan on the front row as well. Jack Southfield will line up in 3rd place with Sebastian Hawkins in 4th. Nathan Foster in 5th place with Kieran Sharp in 6th. Further back through the fields, you get into your situations a little bit further back as well. You got Gianluca Elias, or Johnny Elias, is what we're calling him, in the pole position in terms of AM category. Then you've got Lewis Clark, Graham Brown, Adam Holloway, Steve Roberts, and Dan Blake. Then you've got George Cullen, Adam Locke, Christopher Humphreys last in terms of the AM category. Then you've got a smattering of pro category drivers as well. Dave Martin, Ryan Elliott, and Thor Tuller rounding out the end of the pro category there. And of course, we have some AMs that were further down the order as well. Grierson, Foster, and Ettridge. Ettridge shouldn't be that far back, so not sure what has happened with the starting grid there. But as we do get ourselves all ready and waiting here to get ourselves the start of race number 1 of the race day. Engine notes already starting to rise. We are underway here at Brands Hatch. It was a poor start from pole position for Samuel Jordan. Jack Southfield trying to go down the middle in towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Side by side between the race leaders as they head their way up the hill once again in towards Druitt. Eatwell around the outside. Can he get it done after getting a better start? No, he can't, as Samuel Jordan gets himself up into that race lead. Meanwhile, further back, a little bit of the confusion there as they all stack up here on the first lap, all trying to get onto the defense in towards Surtees there. Will Eatwell trying to go on the defensive from a hard-charging Jack Southfield, who started from P3 on the grid. You almost shot it down the middle of your leaders as we have an incident at the back. We have a car stranded towards the side of the circuit there. Lewis Clark is spun in the wrong direction, trying to get it rectified. Seb Hawkins is far down the field as well. So a couple of issues there happening on the first lap.
Yeah, it was Clark and Roberts for your AM class that were at the side of the road, but certainly some feistiness in the opening of this race. And Will Eatwell, I'm surprised to see him have to go defensive very early in the lap. They're going all the way into Surtees. He attacked Samuel Jordan to start with, who at this track at Brands Hatch, you really don't want to actually start from pole position. You want to start from 2nd place. You get the better launch there. You're not on quite as much of a hill. And onto pit road, Oliver Ettridge. So he must have got caught up in that instant at the start of the race.
Yeah, absolutely did. There we go. Just trundling his way down pit lane. It does have a penalty. So
jump start?
It could be multiple things. Could be a jump start that wasn't that's happened, or an unserved slowdown penalty, or something like that. But either way, Ettridge down on towards pit lane and back out again. That is a bit unfortunate there for Ettridge.
Yeah, that is what we call in the business suboptimal. Not good going. But for me, he doesn't need to worry too much. He has a comfortable lead in the championship, and I can confirm it was a jump start for him. So that means that it was the penalty for him having that jump start. So as we're heading on, Samuel Jordan is pulling away at the front, away from Will Eatwell. He's certainly feeling comfortable at the front.
Yeah, he is. And, well, this is a little bit of sort of Uno reverse action going on, at least compared to the rest of the season, where Will Eatwell's been walking away at the front of the field. It's this time it's Sam Jordan that's doing the same thing, setting purple lap times that last time by as well. We've got Graham Brown involved in a bit of a battle here with Adam Greaveson. This is on the way down in towards turn number 1. Oh, they get very, very close in towards the braking zone, but thankfully no contact made between the two of them. On board here with the 154 of Greaveson on the way up in towards Druids as he continues to try and give chase for that P3 in the AM category.
Now, what's interesting for these drivers is Seb Hawkins, the recovering Seb Hawkins from Pro Class, is going to have to try and work his way through on these drivers. He's faster down the straights, not necessarily faster through the corners though, so he's going to have to be patient, get on the throttle there on corner exit, and now he'll blast past. But those drivers that are fighting for position in AM, they won't want to see him coming through. It can separate out battles, can that, with a recovering pro car. But Hawkins through and away from them. But Johnny Elia, I tell you right now, Connery, is doing all that he can to try and win himself a championship. As let's look back at lap 1.
Yeah, this was, well, basically two separate incidents there at the very back of the field. Of course, Lewis Clark involved amongst a good couple of others there in that instance. And yeah, it was a bit of a mess back there in terms of the that lap 1. Those lap 1 problems. Of course, Seb Hawkins also got caught up in that situation as well. Meanwhile, got yet more battles going on. This is focusing in and around the Dan Blake area. That's the number 27. You got George Cullinan ahead. You got James Foster behind in that one. This is a great little battle for the AM category for 5th place on back. All three nose to tail coming through Druids there as we get another replay of the lap 1 incident.
Yeah, that was just stepping on the throttle. Back end doesn't comply. Others then spin off in sympathy. That's what happened to Seb Hawkins. He'll be disappointed with that, with him fighting for 2nd place in the Pro Championship after having such a good, strong showing last time out at Snetterton. As we carry on with the live pictures plunging downhill. And, well, I said about Johnny Elia doing everything that he can right now. As things stand, I'm doing back of an envelope maths here, so commentators' maths isn't always the most trusted. As things stand, Etheridge would be losing 19 points to oh dear, there's a car off there. That's Humphreys.
Yeah, lap down car as well, having big problems. Christopher Humphreys, actually that was contact with Adam Holloway, I believe, so contact with P2 in your AM category, so lap traffic causing a couple of problems here. Hopefully Holloway has been able to get through on that with not too much damage, as he was trying to actively chase down Johnny Elliott for the race leader now. Yeah, that's just separating those. And again, it's just, if you're the leaders, if you're involved in a battle and you see lap traffic on the horizon, you say to yourself a quick little thought of, right, just don't panic, don't get involved with them. As we'll look at this then. So that's coming up. Oh, he's crowded. He's crowded Holloway as Chris Humphreys in that one. So yeah, again, unfortunately not that great, that from our point of view. But yeah, before that incident happened, as I say, Johnny Elia is catching 19 points as things stand right now. As there's a big moment. Oh, Foster falling off the circuit there. And getting cycled back a couple of positions there in that pro category. It's not ideal, as we'll have to see what are the ramifications of that, because they'll let Ryan Elliott through at least. So that's one position gained there. Meanwhile, you've got to sort of keep in mind the battle for the pro race lead here at the moment, because Will Eatwell, purple, well, fastest lap being set so far, trying to claw that gap back in. But, you know, despite it being 8.5 tenths of a second across the line last time by, it's actually crept all the way up to almost 1.4 here on the relative here at the moment. So this gap really fluctuating in and out as things go.
must have made a mistake at Paddock-Hill Bend, possibly dipping a tyre into the gravel with the changes that have been made to iRacing in the last build, with the changes to the grass and the gravel. That gravel does slow you down, so it does have an effect. Even if you just dip a single tyre in there, it will just grab you and slow you down. So you've really got to push the limits, but not push them too far.
Yep, you do, and as well, you can't really push the limits too far at this circuit. There's no runoff to sort of save you here in this situation. It's just grass, more grass, and then sometimes gravel as well added into the equation. But we're running on board here, driver's eye view with George Cullinan. This is the number 89 car, sitting up behind Dan Blake here at the moment in this battle for P5. In that AM category, it's great to see this view of things. You can see how the undulating this circuit is. It's a bit of a roller coaster, the Grand Prix circuit.
Oh yeah, undulation is one of those words that you use. I've walked the Indy circuit, and even on the Indy circuit, it is incredible the difference in height that you have here on this track, and it certainly does help produce some really good racing here. Cullinan chasing Dan Blake, who of course Blake is, well, he is a Motorsport UK registered driver and official as well, so he is somebody who's heavily involved in Motorsport UK, making the lunge into Druids.
Yep, big lunge indeed, and well, Grierson has to be looking behind now because, well, with the attacker Dan Blake, he's fallen back into the clutches of Cullinan, who are still running on board with here, having to go defensive in towards Surtees here. Cullinan committing around the outside. Look at that. It takes a big amount of confidence to try and pull this one off, as Cullinan almost got squeezed off the circuit. Oh, they're banging doors on the way down the straight here in towards Pilgrim's Shop. Hopefully this doesn't end in tears between the two of them, as Cullinan still has the inside here for Hawthorns. He's going to swing his way through as he overcommits to the corner, though. Can Grierson come back underneath? There's no overlap for the moment, and the door is shut.
I think there was a little bit of ill feeling there, and Grierson felt that he'd been squeezed on the exit of Surtees, and he gave it a real left hand down into the side of Cullinan. No, it was Cullinan, sorry, giving the left hand down to Grierson, my apologies. Cullinan, I'm sorry, but both cars were always going to run wide on the exit of Surtees. It was a little bit naughty and a little bit unnecessary, if you ask me, to start banging doors with another car.
Yeah, I think so too. That's not what you want to see, and it could have ended in catastrophe for the both of them if the situation was just a little bit different. If the contacts were made in just the wrong places on the cars, we could have seen one or both of them in the barriers there, which is not what we would have wanted to see at this stage in the championship. But the battles do continue, though. James Foster, number 48 car. We're riding on board with him at the moment, trying to track down Grierson, who's been in the thick of things so far this event, shall we say. We're having to attempt to put up some decent defensive drives here. Let's see if we can do it up against Foster. Foster's not too close at the moment, at least not close enough to be able to make any moves here for the moment, but we've still got a decent amount of time left in this race.
We certainly do that. Johnny Elia right now is doing all that he can for his AM Championship hopes. It'll be helping his second place, if nothing else, in the AM Championship, because that's quite close. Don't forget, just 2 points separating him and Adam Holloway, who is the driver in second place. So Elia seems to be really clicking with this car and track combination today. He'll be looking to secure second place and do all that he can to try and somehow sneak a championship win, because Etheridge has had a scruffy day so far today.
Yeah, P9 currently for Etheridge, P1 for Elliott. So yeah, looking pretty nice as far as race one goes for the driver. That's second place in the points in the AM Championship at the moment. So Grierson having a little bit of an issue there on the exit of Druids, and that's not exactly going to help his situation in terms of trying to avoid the clutches of Foster behind. Yeah, it just goes to show if you just push that little bit wide anywhere on this circuit, you might get yourself into a spot of bother.
Somebody needs to tell Adam Graveson that we haven't done rallycross here for a number of years. So, yeah, that was a little bit wide out of Druids. But, yeah, definitely getting the power down on the grass, not the best, quickest way of going around there. But he's now putting the pressure back on George Cullinan in front. So the sparks could fly once again if we're not careful here between these two.
Could do indeed, because Cullinan, he's not been able to pull away whatsoever, has he? The last couple of lap times haven't been fantastic for him, so he needs to try and get a move on here, lest Graveson starts thinking about making moves here and there. In terms of the update for the race lead in Pro, though, that gap has extended out again by another, what, half, 6/10, 7/10 of a second now. So UL's 2.2 behind Samuel Jordan, which is a big change compared to what we're used to seeing throughout the entirety of the season so far. It looks like Will Eatwell's perfect season is in a bit of doubt.
It's more than a bit, isn't it? With that sort of gap here, he's just not able to hang on to Sam Jordan here, who again has not had the best of runs here in this particular season so far. Only a couple of second places for Sam, so he's involved in that battle with Seb Hawkins, who of course Seb trying to work his way through. Seb has actually gained a place back on Fortulla, so he's now in a bit of no man's land though. He's about 13 seconds back from Nathan Foster, so it's going to be difficult for Seb to try and move forward.
Yeah, very, very tricky indeed from that position. Ooh, out into the gravel we go. If you're Fortulla in the bright purple car, just up behind Seb Hawkins there. But well recovered, able to keep it pointed in the right direction and not have a monumental accident through the exit of the particle there.
And Seb, of course, is not just trying to hang on and try and carry on a battle for second place in the championship. He's actually trying to hang on to third place, because Jack Southfield, who's currently in third place right now, is going to be getting an absolute ton of points over Seb here. It was 6 points separating the two coming into this round of the championship. Southfield right now is on for 17 points. Seb Hawkins, well, he's on for 8 points, so that's a big swing in that point of the championship as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, it is the top 3 that get prizes here. It's with that driving experience at the Porsche Experience Center at Silverstone. I've been there. Paul's been there. I've actually driven one of the cars. We've both been driven around in the GT3R as well, which was absolutely insane. RS, yes, excuse me.
Sorry, I had to correct you because I had the sense of Peter Mackay suddenly appearing in the YouTube chat going, no, excuse me.
Yes, big difference, of course. But but it was, either way, it was completely an incredible experience for everyone involved in that. It's as someone who has very rarely gotten an opportunity to even sit in a high-performance car, that was definitely a very humbling experience, I think, Paul. I don't know what it was like for you, at least being driven around.
Oh, it was cracking. It's if you why if you're not going to feel comfortable and confident in being able to take the car to the limit, why not get somebody to do it for you who does feel comfortable? And that's exactly what I had. So I got driven round and certainly enjoyed that. Everybody at the Porsche Experience Centre at Silverstone made us feel welcome and put on, oh dear, that's not the best way to treat your rear tyres, by the way, Ryan. But yeah, they certainly knew how to treat us well and to look after us. And these drivers who do finish in the first, second, and third spots of both Pro and Am will get to sample their hospitality.
Yeah, and it was a crazy experience. I will admit, I scared my instructor on the second lap when I was driving around. Carried a little bit too much speed into one of the corners, but gave him a bit of a fright. We didn't have an issue. It's just a tiny bit sketchy, and he told me to calm down a little bit. So there we go. Maybe I was a little bit too aggressive in that instance. Probably should have been a bit more careful considering what the car I was driving is worth over 100 grand. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But at least you didn't have to quote the Juha Kankkunen quote, which is the speed was fine, the corner was too tight.
Yeah, I think I would. I think if I said that, I dread to think what might have happened. But but yeah. Anyway, if you're thinking about going on to that experience, I would wholeheartedly recommend, because they are, of course, commercially available. And I think there's a system, if you actually are interested or are actively buying a new Porsche, then you can also go and do it as well, I believe.
Yes.
But that's correct me if I'm wrong.
It's to help drive people who are purchasing a new Porsche. It's to help them to learn their car, learn what it can and can't do, just so that then when they get out onto the real world, they're not just doing a Jeremy Clarkson stamp on the throttle and going power. They're actually treating that car with respect and using it within its capabilities in a safe way on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a pretty good idea, if you ask me, especially if you're like me and it's your, and if you're not used to cars with a lot of power and a lot of grip, and it's sometimes quite a different beast to your normal road car. So I can understand the want of putting on a course like that. But but you can just sort of turn up. Well, I guess you can't just turn up, but you can pre-book, pay your money, and go and have that experience as well. If there's a good birthday present, I suppose.
Subject to availability.
Yes.
That's what they usually say on the TV.
Yeah.
Everything's all sort of spread out, really. Adam Holloway and Graham Brown was kind of the closest battle out on track in Am, but Graham's not really eating into that gap in front, and in fact Holloway's 5-lap average pace is about half a tenth a lap quicker than Graham, so there's very little to separate the two. In fact, both of their last laps were exactly identical. So both Adam Holloway and Graham Brown's last lap was identical. That's how closely matched they are.
Yeah, can't get any closer than that whatsoever. As we're riding on board with Brown as he negotiates the middle sector here, trying to make sure that car ahead gets bigger in his view as laps go by. But like you said, they're at a bit of a stalemate here at the moment. There's not much slipstream opportunity here at this circuit either, so that's one of the tough things to consider here, is that even if you get pretty close like this, you're not necessarily going to get the opportunity, although there was a little bit of mistake there from Holloway coming into the final corner, which allows Brown to gain quite a bit of time on the way in towards Paddock Hill Bend. So I guess that's one way to gain.
Yeah, you've got to try and keep the pressure on, just keep in their eye line, try and keep the pressure on to force a mistake at the driver in front of you. So definitely Graham Brown's doing exactly that, but Adam Holloway's doing a sterling job at that second place. But Johnny Elia has just slowly been pulling away from these two at the front of your Am field. Update on Etheridge is still in 9th place, and he's a good 7 seconds back from Adam Locke.
Yeah, indeed he is. So not all that much change going on out there on the circuit at the moment, with 8 minutes left to go here in this one. Remember, we do have another race coming after this, which is going to be our very final race of the season. There's our championship leader in Am, Oliver Etheridge, who's not had the best of days so far. And of course, due to the structure of this of the format here, Paul, it does mean that, well, if he doesn't improve position up into 8th, at any point, which we don't think he will, because again the gaps are a bit wide here at the moment, then he'll have to start from 9th place in race 2 as well, which again is not ideal.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky for him to be able to move through the field and to try and get up into those places. But and this is what I was saying. Johnny Elia is just doing everything that he can. The thing that Johnny Elia would have wanted to have seen is Oliver staying down in that 10th, 11th places, just to try and get him as many points back as possible in that championship lead. 40 points was the gap coming into this one. He's going to be gaining some back on Oliver, so that's 9th place. That's 7 points for Oliver Etheridge, so 18 points is that he'll be gaining. So 22 points will be the difference going into that final round. Basically, it'd be pretty much impossible. All that Oliver has to do is, if it stays as it is finish the next race and he's won the championship.
Yeah, so there's not really all that much pressure on his shoulders at the moment because of that. So it's, I guess it's sort of a little bit of a Sunday drive for him. But of course, you know, knowing racing drivers, they'll only be going and striving for the best result possible, regardless of what the situation may be. So we'll still definitely keep track on Etheridge's progress, especially in that second race, as we expect him to try and slive his way through the field, although saying that his qualifying again wasn't necessarily the best that we've seen from him over the course of this season. So we'll have to see whether or not the pace is actually there or not. This battle between Holloway and Brown is still basically the closest battle out there on circuit at the moment. It's been fluctuating in and out as a couple of errors have come the way of either driver here. But you know, there's still plenty of time for these guys to try and sort it out, and you know, we'll see what happens here in these latter laps.
I don't know if you've noticed something as well, but they've actually gained a little bit on Johnny Elia in front. So they are just slowly gaining that little bit. Look at the run that Brown gets there through 30s. That's a great run there. He's not going to be close enough to make a move, but certainly he's piling the pressure on Adam Holloway. And if you're Johnny Elia, you're wanting Brown, one, to put the pressure on him to make mistakes like that, but then secondly, he'll want Brown to get into second place, because that would just increase Johnny Elia's chance of staying in second place in the championship.
Yeah, I think it's getting a little close now. Through Sheen Curve they come. Of course, no opportunities in that sequence for Brown, but you can tell that the pressure potentially might be getting to Adam Holloway at this stage, and that will make this a very, very interesting last couple of minutes then, as they head their way through and across on towards the pit straight out of Clark Curve onto the Brabham Straight and across the line for the get under the lap here. And well, Brown, I think potentially he might just sort of take the mindset of just being in the right place at the right time, potentially waiting for another Holloway mistake where he can nip his way through this time around.
Yeah, certainly be intriguing to see how Graham does with that, but time is running out. We've only got about 3 laps to go, and here's another thing as well. Your overall race leader is about to lap 4th place in AM, so he is gaining on those leaders here at the front of the field. So could a little bit of lap traffic from Sam Jordan come into play here for this fight for second place?
It could be, although at least on my screen he's just negotiated Dan Blake in the right place at the right time, has Jordan, so that's is no factor, at least for him. Whether or not Eatwell is able to get through as easily is a different issue.
Oh, that's a big moment. This is an opportunity for Graham, but no, not quite there.
Yeah, saw that just developing, and well, this time Holloway does come out on top with 3 minutes left to go here in this race. Brown with that one opportunity wasn't able to take it that time, and in fact has lost a decent amount of time in that entire sequence there. On the order of about, what, half a second between the two of them here at the moment. So that can be made up with the time that we have remaining. But that was the first shot, I suppose, about any particular change in this in these podium positions in AM.
Yeah, this is an intriguing one, but as I said, as we've been mentioning, that pressure seems to be getting a little bit to Adam Holloway as they plunge down into Graham Hill Bend. So definitely Graham, we've seen the pace of Graham. He's shown this pace in previous rounds of the championship, and he'll be wanting to to try and do well. Remember, it was him that at the start of the season, after changing the classification of a couple of drivers, was credited with first place in class in the very opening round of the championship. And again, Holloway running very wide over the grass. It's mistakes like this he can't afford.
Yeah, bit of a, well, scruffy couple of laps here, which is really playing into the favour of Brown. Brown with no opportunity this time around, of course, but we are getting in towards the very dying moments of the race now. It's going to be now or never for Brown as far as trying to get up into that second step of the podium. Race lead too far away at this stage, 2.1 seconds down the road compared to where these guys are at as they head their way through and across the line. It's going to be critical about where Sam Jordan is. Well, and guess what? Sam Jordan is right behind them. So this is going to be, there's going to be 2 to go potentially.
No,
Still?
It's going to be close, that's for sure.
It depends on when Sam Jordan comes across the line, not when their race leader comes across the line. And Sam Jordan is right behind them, so he'll put the lap on them now. Sends it down the inside as Jordan at Graham Mill Bend, and Brown's not going to be appreciative of that whatsoever. And now Jordan goes chasing Holloway and try and put him a lap down as well.
And you mentioned about catching traffic at the right place at the right time on the last lap with Dan Blake. Well, he's done it again. He's got there with past Adam Holloway at the right point. Meanwhile, Ryan Elliott and Kieran Sharp, they're battling for 4th place in class in Pro, so they've closed up. And Elliott's had an awful lap because it was a much bigger gap at the start of the lap, so something's happened this lap that's allowed Sharp to get right into the tail.
Absolutely, we do have to see whether we get an extra lap or not with Sam Jordan, because he's coming up towards the final corner now. Looks like we will get one more. 10 seconds as he's entering the pit straight now. One more lap to go, and one more lap for the battle behind Am to try and sort itself out as well.
Oh, look at how much that Adam Holloway's closed up to Johnny Elia. This lap traffic has really affected your Am leader in this race, and well, Elia's not giving it up. He's wanting to fight back on Willie Well, but yeah, this has really opened the Am lead wide open.
Yep, it has. It absolutely has. And oh, is that a slowdown penalty for Eatwell? It's not, actually. He's just letting them go and letting them fight and not trying not to be a factor.
That's, that's gentlemanly. He obviously feels that he's not able to catch up to Sam Jordan, even though he was actually within a second at one
he's not
point.
done even more. Is it fuel issue for Eatwell?
Possibly.
He wasn't expecting the extra lap. Oh my word, he's falling back through the field, and now Jack Southfield's come through on him. Will Eatwell potentially get out of fuel at this stage, or at least has some form of technical problem. That is absolutely crazy.
It's fuel.
Oh no, the fumes, it's running on fumes on the final lap here for Eatwell. Slides back into 3rd place. Battle for the race lead in Am is not quite close enough coming in towards the final corner. Sam Jordan, in terms of the pro category, comes across the line and takes the race win here. He's out of fuel as well. Sam Jordan coming towards the line. Southfield's got him. Southfield's got him on the final lap. Has he? I think so. That is absolutely crazy in terms of a finish here in our penultimate race of the season. To the leaders in the pro category running out of fuel on the final lap, and Jack Southfield steals it away from them.
It's been a long time since I've seen something that crazy happen before in an event like this. Johnny Elia, by the way, lost Am win in all of that. Adam Holloway is going to be, or is he? Well, my goodness. Well,
what?
Yeah, it does show. It does show that they are finished in Sims, and Johnny Elia has taken the win by 0.2 of a second in Am.
That's crazy. It confused the iRacing system for a moment there, because the leader ran out of fuel just before the line. They got shown the checkered flag, but the leader in Am across the line ahead of them. So therefore, everything got very confused very quickly. I think it's all sorted itself out now in terms of the official order. But my word, what a confusing and crazy end to our penultimate race of the season. Jack Southfield, out of complete nowhere, takes the race win in the pro category. Sam Jordan, just, on the fumes towards the line, comes across the line in second. Ryan Elliott gets a surprising podium finish as well in third, as he was able to pass Will Eatwell, who also ran out of fuel on that final lap. Those two drivers were not expecting this lap to go one more race to go one more lap, but yeah, it's crazy stuff and miscalculation on their part, it has to be said. Then you've got Kieran Sharp in 5th, Martin in 6th, Nathan Foster in 7th, Sebastian Hawkins in 8th, and Thor Tuller rounding out the pro order. But yeah, we're going to have to recap this in just a moment once we get through our AM category. Look, it's not even showing a gap between Elliott and Holloway at the moment here, at least on our system, but it has come through, and I can see in the iRacing simulator as well, it is Johnny Elliott taking the race win here today in the AM category, then Adam Holloway, then Graham Brown. Crazy stuff. Dan Blake in 4th with George Cullinan in 5th, Adam Locke in P6, James Foster, Oliver Ettridge, Adam Greaveson, and Lewis Clark rounds out the top 10. Then you have a look down at the bottom of the AM order. Christopher Humphreys and Steve Roberts will come across the line in penultimate last and last place, respectively. But we do need to have a little bit of a chat about that, Paul.
Yes.
Wow, because you quite rightfully mentioned in our little text chat that we have going on here that it's a fixed setup, so ideally the fuel should be the same amongst all the cars, right?
I think that because the pace was so relentless from Sam Jordan at the front of the field, that he's actually caused the race to go an extra lap longer than the series administrators had anticipated. And therefore, and Johnny Ely has actually mentioned it in the virtual paddock as well. I've got the system up here, and I can see they're all saying we need more fuel for race number 2 because, yeah, they all got caught out by it.
Well, if race 2 is a little bit later on in the day, the lap times will be slower and we'll be able to absorb that 10 seconds that we had at the end of the session. So the next race should ideally go one lap shorter, as long as the conditions work out in the best way. But yeah, that was crazy. We will get ourselves a couple of interviews here to just sort of try and cap off that race and see what it was like from the driver's perspective here. Who are we going to get in here for first, Paul? We've got a decent choice of drivers down there. We've got the number 64 on screen, so I assume that's going to be Jack Southfield, who's currently not ready for an interview, but who do you want, Paul?
I think a surprise 3rd place for your pro category, Ryan Elliott. Ryan, well, I bet you going into that last lap wasn't expecting a podium.
Honestly, I am so gutted for the other lads. You know, you got to take podiums when they come, but to get one like that was not great.
I mean, you take them when they come, and you take the opportunities for sure. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean, not wanting to get it in that way. But how was your race? Because you were in that sort of 4th, 5th place battle with Kieran Sharp. How was that going for you?
It was okay. Just every time me and the lad in front were just toing and froing. I was taking a 10th, he was gaining a 10th, and I got close. Got like just about a second to 3rd, and then back markers came into play, and then it was tricky. They made a little mistake, a little half spin, caught that, and then everything just unfolded, and I just can't believe that. You know, it didn't look like Will was going to win anyway, but out of all people that beat him, I didn't expect it to be your 3rd place man that I was battling with. But, you know, good to get a result. Yeah, we'll go into the next one and try and make it a genuine podium, hopefully with some fuel added for everybody else.
Well, I mean, the good news for you is, of course, that with it being the result of the grid being set by the results of this race. You're starting on the second row. How have you been finding the starts with this car? Because it is tricky to get off the line.
Absolutely terrible. I come from another simulator, R-Factor 2, where it's kind of just rev it and dump the clutch, whereas in these, if you just get even just a little bit of wheel spin, it just sets the tyres on fire. So like initially my launch looked good, and then I didn't slip the clutch enough because I was just trying to be cautious. So my first phase of the launch was pretty good, and then second part struggled and I got absolutely mugged. But managed to pluck it off. But good results for the Duckham Oils car, so over the moon with that. On to race 2, hopefully go 2 better and end the season on a real high.
Well, thank you for joining us, Ryan. 3rd place in Pro in race number 1.
Thank you.
So, next up is going to be Adam Holloway. And Adam, my goodness, that was a dramatic end for you guys as well, because suddenly Johnny Ely was 2.5 seconds ahead of you, and suddenly he's there right in front of you on the last lap.
Yeah, I couldn't really figure out what was going on, to be honest. I was, I saw that like the 2 lead pros were going to catch us, and I thought, maybe this will throw up an opportunity. And Johnny got held up massively. But then, obviously the car in front of him then slowed down. I was just trying to figure out what was going on at the same time as trying to drive. It was all a bit stressful.
I can imagine it was stressful. I mean, it was bad enough for you having Graham Brown with you, though, wasn't it? Because he was keeping you really honest throughout that race.
Yeah, I think the pace between us was the top 3 was pretty similar, to be honest. It was just sort of tiny mistakes here and there that were making the difference. He had a really good go one lap when I ran a bit wide on the GP loop, but to be fair to him, he gave plenty of space, and I managed just about to hold him off.
Well, it's yourself and Johnny Ely are fighting for 2nd place in the championship. He's gained a few points on you in that race, as Johnny, 5 points on you, so it's a 7-point gap. You never say never in these situations, but you're going to give it a good go?
Yeah, I need to win, I think, don't I? I mean, I'll give it a go. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm aware the prizes are for top 3, so maybe I need to be slightly sensible, but I'd also like to do it with 2nd rather than 3rd if I can. So, we'll see what happens.
Well, Adam, take care. Thanks so much, and best of luck for the final race.
Thanks, guys.
And we'll have a quick word as well with Graham Brown. Graham, 3rd place in class in AM, and you were keeping Adam under some serious pressure throughout that race.
Hi guys, it's I kind of screwed up my quali, got off track on the last one, so I was a little bit out of position, and then just had to get my way through. And then when I saw Adam in front of me, just knew I just had to hit my markers and just keep pounding out the laps, keep it as consistent as I could do, and manage the front because the setup was really understeery. So I was just trying to, towards the end when I did catch him, I just couldn't get alongside him, so I thought just keep your front tyres in check. I could see his were going as well, so I thought it'd just be a matter of who keeps the fronts in best condition. And then had a lot of fun with the cup cars coming through, which kind of like destroyed my thought of a last lap lunge, but hey ho, that's multi-class.
It certainly is multi-class. But going into this final race, how have you found this season? It's been a mixed bag, I think it's safe to say, isn't it? After being credited with the race win in the very first race, not so good the second round, but then coming back with mixed results at Snetterton last time out.
Yeah, round 2, my sim just kept on crashing, so I was like, couldn't even compete, couldn't even finish the race. So that was really frustrating. Then, because of that, last week I was trying to push a little bit too much to try and make up the points, which ultimately didn't work out in the second race. Just got to hope for a miracle on the final race.
Well, we'll leave you to it to prepare for that final race. All the best for that final round.
Yeah, cheers guys. See you in a half hour.
Absolutely. There we go. So just having a little bit of conversation to our drivers there. Of course, it's sort of mixed feelings amongst the two classes here, it feels, at the moment, because of course the pro guys are sort of really confused and wondering what went on in that race with so many drivers coming across the line with very little, if any, fuel. And of course, it kind of disrupted the AM drivers behind as well, as they were wondering what was going on with the Cup cars. But yeah, that's interesting. We have had news from the race control that the Cup cars will have 5 liters extra fuel for this next race, so we shouldn't be getting any of those shenanigans here in the second event. But yeah, that was definitely a curveball that was thrown at them, wasn't it?
Well, I think the admins have just ruined the fun. No, they've set it out in the regulations. That's it. Let's have a bit of fuel saving, a bit of strategy play in the final race. But no. To be fair, this is a sprint championship, not an endurance championship. So they've definitely got to err on the side of caution and just give them that extra 5 litres. Correct decision by the administrators here of this championship. And I will say they've run a really good championship. I've been really enjoying the rounds that I've covered here of this series, and hopefully it comes back bigger and better next year as well. But we've got one final race to come here, and if the racing is anything like, even before we had all the drama of the fuel, if the racing's anything like that we got with the AM class, certainly we're in for a thrilling 30 minutes.
Yeah, we absolutely are. And of course, we got a couple of drivers that are now out of position, especially in the pro category where we had those fuel issues. Potentially in the AM category as well, is because we have Ettridge starting a little bit further back through the field. So, this last race has the potential to be pretty entertaining. Let's just say that, of course, hopefully we won't get the fuel issues that we did in race 1. But either way, we should still see some fantastic on-track action to really finish off this season of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain. Of course, we have to pay attention to the top 3 in each particular category. Of course, we've already kind of crowned our championship winners in both sets of drivers here for the moment. But yeah, it is about that top 3 to get that Porsche driving experience, to get that Porsche trophy on your cabinet, or anywhere you want to try to display it. That's the goal now for the drivers that are sort of on that bubble, I suppose.
Well, I mean, Ettridge isn't crowned yet, that's for sure, because he did end up finishing 8th in that race in the end of that one. And don't forget, you can get points taken off of you if you get involved in an instance and you found at fault. So we always have to say it, the results are provisional in a championship like this. But realistically, Oliver Ettridge just needs to just keep it on the track, keep it on the grey stuff, and get himself points. That's all he needs here in this final round of the championship. He doesn't need to play any risky business. But the problem is, when you do that, when you're maybe not pushing at 10/10 like you normally would, you actually end up making more mistakes because you're not driving to the full potential and what you've been practicing in that car. So really, you don't want to change how you've been driving in this final round. Easier said than done there.
Yeah, it really, really is. And of course, it's being the final race of the championship, that has the potential for even more intriguing things to happen, because of course drivers will want to try and maximize their point score for the end of this one, no matter even if they're in the contention for the top 3 or not. They want to try and make sure they finish off it in a good way. So we've got all of that to look forward to here as well. It's going to be intriguing to see whether or not Southfield can hold on to what is now a pole position for race 2 as well. He's got 2 very, very quick drivers behind him, and he has to absolutely nail that start if he wants to have any chance at keeping them behind at least. But it's going to be very, very tricky for him to do. That'll give us our entertainment potentially at the front of the pro class.
Well, don't forget as well, you don't want to start on pole position at this track. You're in the bottom of the dip, starting from pole position. It's a lot steeper uphill than it is from second place. I can assure you from that. Yeah. And we've seen it time and time again, not just here in sim racing, but also in the world of full metal racing, of what we see in the Porsche Sprint Challenge as well, that getting those launchers away, second place, 9 times out of 10 gets a better run.
I mean, we saw it in that first race as well. We saw Jordan not quite get the performance off the line. Almost lost the race lead immediately to eat well around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. So yeah, it really is an art to try and get the cars started from that position when you have such a handicap, I suppose. But yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see, and we'll get ourselves our session up here. Should be up right about now. Drivers will be given a little bit of time to prepare to the new for the new track conditions that we'll see, because we raced pretty early in the morning in sim time here for race number 1. Now we're going to be a little bit later on in the afternoon. Maybe the track temp will be a bit higher, lap times would be a bit slower. Which might, potentially by default mean we don't get that extra lap that we had at the end of race 1. But all these factors to consider here in this race too, as some drivers, particularly in the round at Silverstone that we had, actually did struggle with the tires towards the very end of the race.
And it was interesting to hear about, with Graham mentioning about how he was consciously thinking of looking after his front tyres in the early part of the race, just to try and keep himself with a good chance to then push on towards the end of the race. With iRacing, if you do get a bit too much temperature through your tyres in the early going, you feel that pain then for the rest of that session, that set of tyres that you're running. So a little bit of tyre conservation early on, bring the tyres in gradually, will help you out a lot going into the latter stages of the race.
Yep, it really will, and that's sort of been the name of the game, at least for these race 2s, where we tend to have the hotter track conditions. But of course, we'll see once we get into the session, because these things can be affected by things like cloud cover. If it's an overcast day, then the temperatures probably be about the same as they were in race number 1. But if we get clear skies, it could be a completely different ball game there. But we're going to be diving in just a couple of moments into our warm-up session, and then of course into our final race of the season. How would you rate this season so far, with only one race to go, Paul? Because it has been a decent amount of action.
As I said earlier, it's been a fantastic championship. I've thoroughly enjoyed this season, and I think it's produced some great racing, some good action. A little bit of carnage and chaos if the last race is anything to go by at the end, but certainly plenty for us to talk about here in the commentary booth. I can tell you, by the way, because I have got into the session here, it is uncharacteristically clear skies out there at Brands Hatch. It is 37, well, just short of 38 degrees track temperature, so tyre conservation is going to be a big talking point for these drivers.
Yeah, hot out there, let's just say that. So uncharacteristically hot. Yes, we have our in-sim date set to the middle of May, so it's not the conditions that we have here in the UK at the moment, to say the least. But yeah, it is pretty balmy out there, and drivers will have to be dealing with that for 30 minutes race, and making sure, like you said, those tires get to the end in a state which, well, they're not falling off the car. Let's just say that. But we got about 20 seconds to go before we get ourselves our starting grid for our very final race of the season in Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain. It's been a fantastic championship up until this point. Let's make sure we can finish off on a high, why don't we? So time just getting ourselves switched over into the racing session, and of course our starting grid will be the results from race number 1, so there should not be any changes from when we last saw that. So in that instance, it will be Jack Selfield starting on pole position in the pro category. Then of course we will have Sam Jordan occupying the front row as well, so the 64 and the number 19 will start at the front of the field. Then you've got Ryan Elliott there in P3, with Will Eatwell starting in P4. Then you've got Kieran Sharp in P5 with Dave Martin in P6. Nathan Foster will start in 7 with Sebastian Hawkins in A4. Tuller will round out the 9th place. Then you've got Johnny Elliott starting in pole position in AM. Then you've got Holloway and Brown rounding out the top 3 cars there. Then you've got Blake, Cullinan, Locke, Foster, Ettridge, and Greaveson in that order. Down to P18 overall on the starting grid. Then you've got the last couple of cars, Lewis Clark, Christopher Humphries, Steve Roberts, rounding out this starting grid. And for the final time here in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge, we're about to get ourselves underway here at Brands Hatch. It is going to be Southfield leading in towards Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. He got a very good launch, actually, from pole position, all things considered. Seb Hawkins teasing with the gravel on the outside of Paddock Hill Bends there. He's going to potentially be swamped here up in towards Druids as we go door to door through the mid-pack here on our first lap. Everything clean and tidy, it seems, though, Paul.
Oh, don't say that yet. We've got most of this opening lap to go yet. Cold tyres and brakes for those drivers, so they're still bringing their tyres up to temperature and pressure. I've been bigging it up all the way through the pre-race talk there about how you don't want to be starting from pole position, and then Jack Southfield just waltzes away at the front from the start. He got a great launch, and it was Sam Jordan who didn't get away well, which means Ryan Elliott second place right now. Good going in that one. Meanwhile, your AM class, it's still on. This is still exciting stuff further down. Ettridge is up a place into 7th.
Yeah, that's important, at least in terms of him finishing off this entire series with the good results, as now he's going to try and lock onto the back of Adam Locke currently, as there's a bit of swarming out ahead. Dan Blake and Graham Brown going wheel to wheel down through here. We've got Blake on the inside there for the final corner as they just passed pit entry onto the Brabham straight here. And then we've got Cullinan, actually the third car in line, looking pretty threatening at this stage as well. Brown going to try and commit around the outside at Paddock Hill Bend. It's very easy to get caught on the outside there and have the freight train run through on you, and that's exactly what happens. Cullinan picking up that spot for free.
Yeah, that dirty line around Paddock Hill Bend is not the line to be taking there through that opening corner of the lap, as there's a bit of a lunge down the inside further back, and a little bit rude, forcing the car wide of Lewis Clark, but still looking forward. Ettridge is just ahead of 8th place Adam Greaveson as they're heading down the back straight, and still this side by side with Foster and Roberts.
It is, and no one's going to back out into all the ones, are they? As Foster is through, Clark sticking his nose in there, and well, doesn't quite get anything done as a result, although Roberts potentially might have been a bit frightened by that, a little bit wide there as they go in towards Dengledell. But all things should resolve themselves here in this particular battle, all single file now, as they angle their way into that on-camber left-hander. That's Sterling, so you can carry a lot more speed into there than you think, because of that camber helping you around the corner. And then you get in towards the back end of the lap here as well. So great little trio that we're watching here at the moment. Foster might come under threat here in towards Paddock Hill Bend, because Roberts did get a decent run through the final corner, looking towards the outside here, looking to try and get the cut back in, and then try and gain the momentum and the overlap in towards Druids. And that's what Roberts is almost completing here at the moment. Sends it in on the brakes there on the inside of Druids. Clark is trying to follow through in his tire tracks in the 22 as well. Roberts is through, opens up the corner for Graham Hill Bend. Now Clark is looking to try and get past Foster. He's going to get the speed off the corner here, maybe make it to the inside for Surtees. No, Foster will come across and cover that off.
This is good racing. This is all at the back end of your AM class. This is great stuff to watch. These drivers fight over these latter positions, and yeah, definitely good. The lap times, I can tell you, they're a good couple of seconds slower than the first race, so we probably won't end up with the extra lap, so the fuel wasn't needed in the end, but certainly it's showing us some good performance. Now there is Samuel Jordan and Will Eatwell side by side across the start and finish line, and it's going to be Will Eatwell moving ahead of his teammate.
Yep, it is, although it's not quite done coming off the corner, because Jordan sent it back up the inside on him here in towards Druids and is able to regain the place. So a fantastic little duel between the two teammates. It is stacking up a couple of the drivers behind them as they try to settle their differences here. It's good to see there's no team orders.
Yeah, last thing we want to see is team orders, but certainly Samuel Jordan will be looking for a good result here to finish off his season, so definitely looking to do well. Of course, second place in the championship now, ahead of Jack Southfield and Seb Hawkins. Hawkins dropping down to fourth place in the standings after that opening race of the evening. But yeah, Southfield is just trying to pull away from Ryan Elliott behind him at the front. As we've been saying, you can't push too hard or else you'll feel the effects in the latter half of the race.
Yep, you will. So I would hazard the guess that there's a little bit of a conservation going on from a good handful of the drivers out there to make sure they're not taking too much life out of the tyres at this stage. Although we have had a couple of hard battles happen out there already so far. So yeah, you got to be so careful not to take too much performance out at this stage. Otherwise, you'll be really hurting a little bit later on in the race. Track temperature 38 degrees Celsius, one of the highest ones that we've had so far this season. And yeah, the drivers are really going to be feeling it in what, about 15-20 minutes?
Yeah, it'll be that last 5 minutes or so where they'll be feeling it in the front tyres. Although saying that in that first race, as we heard in our interviews, that you know, the drivers were feeling those front tyres just going away from us. Oliver Etheridge now up into 5th place here. Graham Brown's going backwards here in this race. He's got to be careful about that and doesn't lose out too much in front of him. Okay, it's 4th place in the championship coming into this round, but yeah, he'll still be wanting a good finish to it. Johnny Elia still leading by half a second over Adam Holloway. Remember, there's 7 points between the two of them in the championship.
Yeah, there is not all that many whatsoever, and you know, it can all be decided. It will all be decided here in this race to finish off the season. Of course, we do have you know, stewarding after the race potentially as well, but we would never like to see any championship decision decided in the stewards room, because Lord knows we've had too many of those, at least in the sim racing that we've done. As 154 is off, so that's a little bit of afters there as well, as that was Adam Grieveson involved with Steve Roberts, I believe.
He's got to be careful now because he's got no rear wing on his car as well, so he's going to have to get repairs done to the car, because he will not be getting the benefit of the downforce. And then the first time, if he runs into Paddock Hill Bend and hits the brakes at full chat, he'll suddenly find that the car wants to rotate on him, so he's got to be careful with that. Meanwhile, Ryan Elliott slowly gaining on Jack Southfield at the front there with a 4-wheel slide into Hawthorne there. That's not going to help the tyre life.
No, it's really not. Maybe you can get away with it once or twice, but it's yeah, any more than that, then you're really gonna take big chunks of performance out of those out of that rubber. And so you gotta be very conscious of the fact that you're gonna have to try and get these things to the end of this race. It's not usually, you know, 30 minutes is not usually a very a long stint, but in the grand scheme of things, when you talk about things like endurance racing, but when you're going full out in a sprint race such as this, that performance does get away from you.
Yeah, you still want to lean on the tyres and get as much performance out of them, and that was never a move that was on there, George. George Callahan makes the move, makes the move down the inside into Sterling's Bend from an absolute mile away, and just unceremoniously dumps Graham Brown off.
Yeah, that I mean, you summed that one up perfectly, Paul. Move not really on, door slightly ajar, but it was one that's always going to close there in towards Sterling's, and yeah, that's an unfortunate instant there. So there might be a couple of things for the stewards to look at after this race is done, in terms of getting ourselves an official order and an official points and official standings. But let's have a look at what happened to Graveson here. he gets unceremoniously punted before Sterling's bent.
Well, is that a case of Greaveson trying to defend a little bit last minute and didn't give the space? Here's what happened to Brown. So there's a move, and he sort of stuck his nose into the hole, but then he's got backed out of it, and you can't. I was talking to I can't remember who it was now, a friend of mine, that's it, who was talking about multi-class racing, and it's okay, that wasn't multi-class incidents, but you can see drivers that make the move confidently and stick that move. It's a lot better than cars that sort of half make a move, then decide, well, actually I might not want to, or do I go for it? And that's when the confusion happens, and that's when contact happens. And I think that was similar with the Graham Brown incident there.
Yeah, it is. I guess we can say as much as we want about it in the comms booth, but in the end, it is the steward's decision as to what penalties, if any, will be handed out for these incidents. It's just the way things are, and we won't get news of that until after the race, of course, because the administration, the stewarding for this series is done after the races, not during, so we won't see any drive-through penalties or stop-goes or anything like that, or time penalties be applied at this stage. It will be done after the event is concluded. As we see Sam Jordan, again, getting himself a little bit aggressive up onto the back of Ryan Elliott, and he's got to be very, very careful as well, because Heatwell's not that far away either.
Seb Hawkins trying his best to work his way through, but Dave Martin is holding on to that position, careful not to get stuck together, the two cars, and well, if you're Nathan Foster, you've got nowhere to go. You're getting absolutely boxed in here behind these two, and it's like, no, I can go this, no, this way, no, it's not there, and oh, Foster, big slide and well held. So many times you see cars fire off onto that inside wall, but well held there from Nathan Foster.
Yeah, a great bit of car control displayed to make sure that incident wasn't as catastrophic as it could have been. Another little bit of contact out there on circuit as Elliott gets sort of forced wide, and Jordan gets himself through, and Deepwell might be able to pick up this position as well. It's absolutely level on the way through down towards Pilgrim's drop and in towards Hawthorns, as we see Elliott on the inside here trying to make sure that he doesn't lose that position. He gets stunted, he gets doored off the corner, he almost collects as he comes back across the circuit. Well, that's Elliott unceremoniously in the gravel and has to try and recover from there.
It was clumsy from Will Eatwell's teammate Samuel Jordan at Surtees to start with that caused Ryan Elliott to have the initial incident. Now, coming off of Hawthorne Bend, he's run out wide as Eatwell onto the curb. He's got to get back onto the track or else he ends up on the grass. And he's just maybe come and nipped in a bit too much. But again, you'd also, for self-preservation, if you're Ryan Elliott, you also want to just give that little bit more space. And, well, it was lucky that there was no further contact there.
So close to taking Will Eatwell out of the equation as well. Get a feeling Ryan Elliott will be sending an invoice to Carl Esports at the end of this for the incident and the bits of damage on the car. Meanwhile, we've got the front of the AM category. This is Johnny Elliott and Holloway battling it out, and well, Holloway is able to get himself through at Paddock Hill Bend. Can Elliott come back at him up in towards Druids? Well, not in this particular instance. This one has kind of crept up on us, hasn't it, Paul? But Holloway through up into the race leader van.
These two, I've been keeping an eye on these two on the timing screen, and they've been close together pretty much since the get-go. They've pulled out a gap over third place. The thing that is going to worry them now, though, is it's Oliver Etheridge who's worked his way through up into third place. He's gained 5 places in this race and already is lapping half a second quicker than Adam Holloway. So Johnny Elia, he's got to be careful here, because remember, it's 7 points separating coming into this final race between Elia and Holloway, and the difference between first and third place, Well, that's 8 points.
Yeah, not that much at all. Let's just say that. So it is getting pretty close here in the very dying moment of the championship. We've still got 15 minutes left to go in the race, and seeing the AM class battle as close as they are is a very, very positive sign indeed. Ettridge, of course, down there in 3rd place. He's still, 3.9 seconds adrift of these top 2 here at the moment. So still a lot of work to put in, and it's okay for him at the moment. But it's you have to make sure that it's 100% yours, if you know what I mean.
Well, what Johnny Elia needs to do now here is just sit behind. If I was him right now, I'm in the strong position. I'm in the pound seat in terms of 2nd place in the championship. My championship rival, who's in 3rd, is directly in front of me. I know that right now he's not gaining the places and the points to be able to gain that place. Sit behind him. Don't fight him, because if you start fighting each other, you're just going to invite Oliver Ettridge to come rocking up a lot quicker than if you just stay behind, following the wheel track to Holloway, and therefore it just makes it harder for Ettridge to get to them in the first place.
Yep, it really does. You can't just be tripping over each other here at this stage, or even risking a big accident, which will put you outside the top 3. Ooh, that's a big incident. Seb Hawkins has had a massive incident there. I think that was outside of Paddock Hill Bend, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Paddock. Seb Hawkins, after having such a good round at Snetterton last time out, a couple of 2nd places, it's just all fallen apart this round. Adam Holloway is still under pressure, feeling that pressure from Johnny Elia, but as I say, I think Johnny's just biding his time waiting behind. But Oliver Ettridge, I can tell you, last lap, his lap time was a 29.6. The race leader in AM did a 30.2.
Yeah, that's quite a difference as we see those guys all the way through. I'm just sort of keeping an eye on potentially the gaps a bit further down as well, because remember, this AM race lead battle is not necessarily the only battle going on out there. We have potentially a close one for 4th place, well, closing in, shall we say, between Dan Blake and George Cullinan, and of course James Foster, Adam Locke for 7th place in AM as well. Closest pro class battle is Foster and Elliott for 6th place there. The front of the pro class has definitely spread each other a little bit thin at this stage with 12 minutes to go, but at least we have this battle for the AM race lead going on that will entertain us for at least the next little while.
And it's so important for the AM Championship as well. I think that's the reason why we're focusing on it, because it has such connotations. Here's what's happened to Seb Hawkins, and that car suddenly turns left. That tells me that was a hardware failure.
Could have been for sure. He was pushing wide through the corner anyway just before, but yeah, that doesn't look very natural for Seb Hawkins, and it unfortunately takes him out of this final race of the season. He's had a decent run up until this point, shall we say, but to go out of the final race like that is definitely not ideal.
Eat well.
What's happened?
Yeah, he's dropping down the order suddenly.
He's not on circuit.
Oh, he is. He's there. He was on screen.
He is.
But yeah, he's dropped back significantly, and I didn't see any slowdown penalty for him, so I don't know what's happened there. Possibly through Hawthorne.
Yeah, I think he had an instant, not necessarily through Hawthorne, but I think through Westfield, as you see a little bit of
front
left damage, which is weird coming through there. Either pushes wide. Let's see what happens then. So coming up through the right-hander there, is he taking too much curb?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and he spears towards the inside. That's why we see the damage on the front right. Spun towards the inside.
Yeah, that's so easily done through there. You carry the speed. You try and carry as much speed through Westfield. You're cutting the inside of that curb. If you cut too much, it unsettles the car, and that's exactly what's happened there. Just a little bit too much speed up over the curb. Around goes the back end, and you feel a little bit silly for that type of incident.
So from having a perfect season up until this point, Paul, Will Eatwell, in all likelihood, will get no race wins out of today, which is quite a change.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. It is quite the difference in all of that. So, yeah, definitely. But then again, he knows he's won the championship. It's just a case of going out there and trying to have a bit of fun and doing that. I know that in the first race he will have been pushing to try and get the perfect season. But as soon as that wasn't the case, it's right, let's just have some fun out there. Still, Johnny Elia putting the pressure on. They were actually just at matching pace with Oliver Etheridge was Johnny Elia on that last lap. So I think Etheridge maybe, as we reach 10 minutes to go, is starting to feel those front tyres having been pushing all the way through this race.
Yeah, it's yeah, this is the point where it really starts to hurt. If you've, like you said, if you've taken a little bit too much performance out early on, you're having to try and nurse that car all the way to the finish now. Adam Holloway and Johnny Elia still as close as you like between the two of them. Just a handful of tenths of a second separate them at this stage of the race. We'll have to see if there's any swaps between the two of them by the time this race is done, because you know it does have, well, ramifications, shall we say, with regards to the top three and now the prize giving positions.
Yeah, going up the hill there, Holloway going defensive, and Johnny Elia, I just think, has got that little bit more pace now. I think he's done what Graham Brown told us, just looking after his tyres that little bit, and now he's trying to use them to his advantage. And onto the brakes again. Etheridge caught up last lap by about a quarter of a second, so he's not gaining enough to be able to be with them to fight for this one, but certainly he's going to give it a good show.
Yeah, definitely will. It's been a great fight so far, and to see the conclusion of it will well, I'm optimistic. Let's just say that I'm optimistic about it, but it is the closest battle out on circuit right now. Everything else is kind of fizzled out a little bit, I'll be completely honest, apart from maybe between P4 and 5 in Pro. That's Dave Martin and Will Eatwell. Of course, Eatwell struggling with a little bit of damage after the instance that we saw coming out of Westfield, where he spun towards the inside of the circuit and an unfortunate impact with the barrier. Dan Blake falling down the order as well there, I've just spotted. So hopefully he's okay, although he is going pretty slow out of Sterling's on my screen at the moment. So maybe some dramas for Dan Blake.
Not a good way to end the season. Oh, look at this. Johnny Elia looking left, looking right. You're asking a lot to go the long way around at Druids. You can only really do that in lap one if you're in the mid-pack of the start of the race. But certainly Elia seems to have that performance in the car over Adam Holloway. And half a second was the difference between Etheridge and these two. So Etheridge now, it seems to be closing up a bit more. Here's what happened to Ben Palmer. And once again, it's another unceremonious dump.
Yeah, there's Cullinan down the inside there of Blake.
Dan Blake, yeah. Sorry.
Palmer's the owner of the circuit, not Ben Palmer.
Well, no, but it's because your AM leader Adam Holloway is running a BPR livery, and Ben Palmer runs a BPR livery.
All right, yeah. I'll forgive it. It's fine.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, but it's not the first send down the inside of Sterling's that we've seen come off like that. We had one a bit earlier on in the race as well, so it's been a tricky spot for the drivers, all things considered here in this one. There's the battle between Dave Martin and Will Eatwell. I almost called Dave Dan there, because there's another driver called Dan Martin in another series that we commentate on.
You see, it's catching, it's contagious.
Yes, but yeah, it's great to see these guys so close together, and well, the race leaders in AM are also absolutely nose to tail. So a couple of things to look at for the very end of the race here, as out in the final corner these guys come and across the line. It's the race lead gap has come down by quite a bit as well. Half a second between Southfield and Jordan, and it keeps coming down actually. What's happened to Southfield?
This is a great run for Johnny Elia. He's waited for this. He's put them under pressure. And this is the opportunity for Johnny Elia. He's got the outside for Hawthorns. Now, you can make this one work. You can carry the speed through here as long as you get a bit of cooperation from the car on the inside, which he does get. Can Holloway stick his nose in there? He can. And Holloway's going to take that back. And here comes Etheridge now.
Yeah, absolutely. Etheridge is stalking them down as these guys try have a little bit of a scrap in towards Sterling's this time. Gap for the race lead in pro class is as close as it has been as well. Southfield having issues on this previous lap to bring Jordan back into things as well. So we've got battles for the race lead in both classes to watch here at the very end of not only this race, but this entire season as well. Look at this, we got Elliott going for the move once again. This is the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, looking for that big wide arc on entry to get the speed off and to try and find some forward advantage in towards Druids. It's not going to work this time around. It forces Holloway to go defensive, but it's sort of defending ghosts.
I tell you what, it's the lap traffic that Southfield has been caught out by, and that's just slowed him down. And there, Sam Jordan just got caught with traffic on the apex of the corner. There's Elia looking to the inside. Now, Johnny Elia's got to be careful here because if Etheridge gets past but doesn't get past Holloway, then Holloway ends up in second place in AM.
Yeah, it does. So championship implications here, but it looks like that green car of Etheridge does pull out of the move in towards Hawthorns. He's also conscious of the fact that he wants to try and get the car to the end, as every single one of these drivers here at the moment in this top three in AM. This is crazy stuff for the end of the race indeed. We've got a little bit of a lull in it now as the drivers negotiate that middle sector. Of course, we have to remember that our bleeding pro as well, but Southfield got a little bit of breathing room after that initial little problem that he had with the lap traffic, although Jordan's not letting him get away.
And these leaders in pro are actually catching up to that Lewis Clark, George Cullinan battle as well, that they're going to have to work their way through and lap. So that overall lead in the pro is not decided yet. Elia going to a defensive line into Druids. Oh, business has picked right up here.
Yeah, it really has in these last couple of laps of the championship. The Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain has had a fantastic couple of rounds. It has been a short season, but it's been one that's action-packed. Yam Katsuki getting more and more tense by the moment as Etheridge tries to push his way through. He's going to get a good run out of the Surtees here. Might be able to challenge Elliott up on the way in towards Hawthorns. That will be a tricky spot to try and get past. He's been in this position before as Etheridge and backed out of it. Doesn't quite back out of it as easily this time.
That was quite a tight line taken by Johnny Elia, and this is allowing Adam Holloway to pull away. So Elia has now committed to defending for all his might for that second place in this race. Just to remind everyone at home, if Adam Holloway wins and Johnny Elia finishes third in this race, it means that Adam Holloway overturns the gap in the AM Championship and finishes second in AM, beating Johnny Elia by a single point. So it's really crucial that for Johnny Elia to hang on to the second place.
Yeah, just to keep that second place in the race, second place in the championship as well. All three of these drivers, of course, as long as they get to the end fine, will be able to get themselves their prizes for finishing P1 to P3 in the championship and go on that Porsche experience at the Porsche Experience Centre at Silverstone. But in the end, it's now all about placings here in the final minutes of this race. Southfield and Jordan also very, very close for the pro race lead as well as Etheridge. Oh, they almost trip over each other in towards Surtees there to Elia and Etheridge. And they've caused them to fall even further off the back of Holloway as he's just he's consigned to the fact that whatever happens in his mirrors now is going to decide the fate.
Absolutely. The sands of time as well are against these drivers, the AMs have got another lap to go here at a minimum. Whereas your race leaders, you're looking at 20 seconds remaining and they're just getting to Westfield now. I do believe it'll be possibly the last lap for Southfield and Jordan.
Yeah, it might just be. It's been a fantastic amount of fighting up and down the field here. We haven't seen these pros go side by side here just yet. We might get it up towards the final corner. Time has expired right about now. It's going to be Jack Southfield heading his way in towards the final corner. Is there a run from Jordan right at the very dying moment? I think he's too far back to be able to make anything happen. Jack Southfield comes across the line to take the last race win of the season in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge at Great Britain. Fantastic stuff indeed. And look at this, fighting in the AM category as well. Ettridge has been able to get through on Ilya. He really has, and now he tries to and chase down Holloway as well, potentially.
Johnny Ilya now has got to hope that Oliver Ettridge has the race of his life here and gets through on the race leader in AM, but he's only got one lap to do this one in. The three leaders in AM, they have not been lapped. Every other AM driver, they have finished their race. They are done for today, but these three, it's not over yet.
It really isn't over. Look how much pace Ettridge has. I think Holloway and Celia took too much out of their tyres, potentially. You see the flashing of the lights from Ettridge here. Not sure whether that's to distract or an early celebration about the championship win. But either way, as they head their way up in towards the final sector now, getting their way through Sheen Curve, there's maybe a little lunge at Sterling's that we've seen previous in this event, but Ettridge is not going to go for that. Holloway has maximized the exit out of that on-camber corner, and now as they fly in towards the final corner here at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, it's Adam Holloway in the number 81 to take the last race win here in the AM category in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge at Great Britain. Oliver Ettridge behind, of course, is your championship winner in the YAM category, so well done to him. A good charge at the end there. And the important thing for Holloway, though, with that race win, with finishing ahead of Ettridge and Elia, he's going to be able to get himself second place in the championship as well. As far as pros go, it, of course, is Will Eatwell taking the championship there as well. Here's the official order. It was less than a 10th of a second between Jack Southfield and Samuel Jordan in the dying moments of the race, as we had a fantastic event there. We got Kieran Sharp on the podium as well. Will Eatwell, our championship winner in pro, finishes in 4th. He was looking to try and get a perfect season coming into today, as he got all the race wins previous, but unfortunately it seems like Brands Hatch was a little bit cursed for him. Then we've got Dave Martin in P5 with Ryan Elliott in P6, Nathan Foster in P7 with Thor Tuller and Sebastian Hawkins rounding out the pro field. Then you've got the AM categories. You've got Adam Holloway taking the race win by 0.3 of a second over Oliver Ettridge. Then you've got Johnny Elia in P3. Then you've got Lewis Clark in P4, George Cullinan P5, Dan Blake 6th, James Foster 7th. Then you've got Adam Locke, Adam Greaveson and Christopher Humphreys rounding out the top 10. And you've got the last couple of cars, unfortunately, retiring from this race, Graham Brown and Steve Roberts. So what an exciting end to not only the race evening, but of course the entire championship in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain. We'll have our drivers come in for an interview here in just a couple of moments time, Paul, but I don't think we really could have asked for a much better finale.
Oh, that was absolutely sensational, really dramatic, exciting stuff. Adam Holloway able to hold on to an AM win here. Absolutely sensational stuff. If you're Johnny Elia, you'll be absolutely spitting feathers at lap traffic getting involved on the last lap, but that is the way that racing can go. Sometimes it comes in your favour, sometimes it doesn't, and it does mean that, according to our maths, provisionally, that Adam Holloway should finish in second place in the AM Championship by a single point.
Yep, it should work out that way. But of course, we've got ourselves post-race reviews to happen and things like that. I don't think there's anything that will affect the standings that far up, but we will have to wait confirmation of that. But what a great season it has been. Congratulations to those that have finished provisionally inside the top 3 in terms of the championship order. So in Pro Class, that's obviously going to be Eatwell, going to be Jordan, and going to be currently looks like Southfield's on 134 points there, at least by my calculations, who has done a fantastic job of scoring maximum points here today to try and ensure that top 3 place. In terms of AM, of course, it's Ettridge, Elia, and Holloway that take the top 3 here, at least by our calculations. But we'll get confirmation from Race Control, and we will be able to get ourselves a conversation with a couple of our drivers, starting with the undisputed champion in the AM category, Paul. It's Oliver Ettridge.
Well, Oliver, I mean, my goodness, you had a hard day of it today, didn't you? Not the best qualifying, not the best opening race, but my goodness, what a drive in that second race.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying was as good as I could do it. Everyone else just got a great lap in. Race 1, going when the lights are red and not green, was a big amateur move from me. And then from there, it was try and catch up, had a couple of tangles with people. And then race 2, just got very lucky, I think, with a few moves, a few people going wide, back markers coming into play. I really feel for Elia there in that final race. I think he deserved P2. He was there amongst the top 2 the whole race, but I just managed to sneak through on the final lap.
Certainly, it was dramatic to watch from us here in the commentary box. But of course, this does provisionally mean that you are the AM champion. I mean, what a season you have had here. Considering that opening race at Silverstone, if you think back to then, wasn't the best.
Yeah, that feels a long time ago. Yeah, that rate, well, had the pace, I think, but I caused a collision in that first race and correctly got penalised for it. And then from then, it's been catch up to Snetterton last week, take the lead because Adam wasn't around, and then just trying to keep it on track today to bring the championship home.
Well, you must be absolutely delighted, of course. You get yourself a trophy and a Porsche experience as well at Silverstone. Oliver Ettridge, congratulations, AM Class champion.
Thank you very much.
There we go, that was our AM Class champion. And the next up for us is going to be Adam Holloway, who, of course, we spoke to in the previous race afterwards. And, well, that was a dramatic race, well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Did it work? I don't know. I can't do the maths.
Well, according to our commentator maths, and we all know how that is for mathematics, you've got it by a point.
Oh, yes.
Second place.
Yeah, when I got past him, I looked down at the gap back to third, and it was 4 seconds, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm pretty sure I need him to finish third, so it's probably over. And then, yeah, Oliver was matching our pace, and I thought, if I back him up a little bit, I wonder whether I could maybe just make it work. And then, yeah, made a mistake going into Graham Hill on the one lap and ended up doing the whole GP loop side by side, and that was enough to then bring Oliver all the way back into it. So, yeah, I can't believe it worked. But I think, to be fair, I think Johnny got unlucky with the back marker, so it's a bit of a shame. But, yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, after having to miss a round, to be able to sneak a second place, I mean, your season as a whole, you've had a really solid season. You must be delighted with how that's gone.
I'm well chuffed, yeah. Yeah, it was a shame I had to miss Snetterton, but it clashed with the final round of my karting calendar, so yeah, I had to prioritise that one. And hello to my BPR Motorsport friends. But yeah, I'm pleased that I could just about clinch P2. It's just a shame that I couldn't give Oliver the full fight for the championship, but yeah, well happy.
Right. Well, apparently I've just been told that my maths is correct, so that's a first.
Oh, okay.
For a commentator to have the maths correct. But, well, Adam Holloway, provisionally, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very
Second place
much.
in M.
Yeah, good stuff. And thank you to you guys for the stream and the commentary. It's been good watching it back after the races.
Well, there we go. That's Adam Holloway through. Now, the final interview, Connery, is a little bit of a mystery for us because his name in the Discord server is Mr. JSA. I am just throwing a guess out here that it's Jack Southfield.
You would be right.
Oh, you see, my
Good guess.
powers of deduction are good. I mean,
Yeah.
Congratulations, Jack. What an evening for you.
Yeah, it was pretty good, wasn't it? Definitely could have gone worse, that's for sure.
I mean, let's just quickly touch on that first race. I mean, you must have,
Yeah.
you must have been thinking, I must have had every lucky charm in the world go my way then.
Yeah, well, after sort of the first lap or two, my fuel calculator sort of updated, and I was like, we haven't got enough fuel to make it. We've done an extra lap. So I was lifting and coasting and short shifting all race and just being really, really, kind to the tyres and stuff. And because that was all I really had to do to try and get P3 in the championship. So I didn't really care too much about P1 or 2. I was like, they can go and do their own thing, and I'll just be nice and gentle. And then yeah, seen with a lap to go, I was like, seem to be gaining quite a lot. I wonder if they've binned it. And I was like, no, they've run out of fuel. And then I seen Samuel, at the final corner. I was like, oh, will I get him? Will I get him? I just about got him, and set me in good stead for race 2, I guess, for the pole.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been talking up about how all evening about how pole position is not the place you want to start here because it is much steeper hill compared to in second place. You just went and completely threw that theory to the wall for me because you got such a good launch. But then you just see that gap just coming closer and closer between you and Samuel. I mean, how much pressure was Samuel putting you through at the end there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult track to overtake on, so it's as long as you sort of go on the inside line on a lot of corners, then there's no real way of getting past. But even so, as you said, he had so much pace. I mean, the gap was like 2.7 seconds with like 15 minutes to go or whatever, and then I just seen it coming down and down. I think it was turn 4. He was so quick at, like, the rest of the track I could match him mostly, but the turn 4 he'd pull like 3/10 on me. I don't know what he was doing, but it was insane, like so much pit speed. So I was like, when someone's got that much pace advantage over you, even if it's a difficult track to pass on, then it can be quite easy for them to pass you. But luckily, a bit of traffic sort of helped, I think, as well, and he didn't manage to get past. So
Well, you were the driver to stop Will Eatwell getting the perfect season. Congratulations on getting 3rd place provisionally. We always have to say provisionally. 3rd place in the pro standings. Congratulations there.
thank you very much. And sorry, Will.
There we go then. That's Jack Southfield and his thoughts. Connery, wow, what a season it's been.
Yeah, it's been an excellent season. Let's just say that. Yes, like the pro category kind of waltzed away with Wheatwell getting the perfect run up until this very final round of the season. But the AM fights were incredible. The battles in this final round were exceptional as well. So I think everyone should really be proud of themselves. The drivers, the organizers, and everyone that helps to put these things together, because that was a fantastic championship, and hopefully there'll be more to come. But I don't make the decisions around here on that. So, hopefully there's positive things to positive things to come. Of course, this his championship been brought to you in part by Motorsports UK as well, who have really delved into the esports side of things over the past year or two, and it's really lovely seeing all the initiatives that they've been able to put together, because they're such a force to be reckoned with in the real world in motorsports here in the UK, and to see them branch off into esports and put on some of these excellent events is certainly something that's much appreciated by not only by us but by the drivers as well, looking to try and get themselves their break into the industry, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Paul Crawford and the whole team behind the scenes at Motorsport UK. See, I'm such an old timer in the world of motorsport that I keep on trying to call them the MSA, but no, it's Motorsport UK that have been just putting together these series, not just this series, but other series as well, special events that they're putting on. It's just a wonderful organisation that they've got there, and do check out the Motorsport UK website for further details of future championships and events that you can get involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, of course, you've got the real world side of things, you've got the esports side of things. They're basically two different disciplines of the same sports. That's what the attitudes that a lot of organizations are taking to this, and one can support the other, which is fantastic to see. Just look at Max Verstappen, doing a lot of sim racing when he's not doing F1. It's that's all you really need to know to see the legitimacy of this part of the sport. But yeah, congratulations to the top three in each category here. So they'll be getting themselves a Porsche, the experience at Porsche in Silverstone, which we've both been on, and it's an incredible experience. I would recommend if someone, he wants to get a birthday, Christmas present, whatever, to go there and have that experience. But I think these guys will definitely enjoy it, because it's quite a difference driving the sim car versus the real one.
I wouldn't know. I didn't drive the real one, but I got driven around, that's for sure. But yeah, it's a great experience. I get a trophy as well, so that's all good to sit on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But that is going to be all that we have time for here in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain. I've been Conor Maddock. I've been joined by the wonderful Paul Smith as ever. Thank you very much to everyone who has played their part in organising these championships. Not only us here at RaceSpotTV, but at Motorsports UK, at WSR as well. Thank you very much to everyone for getting themselves involved in this, and of course, congratulations to the drivers as well. But for now, here on RaceSpotTV, we will have to say goodbye and good night, and we'll see you whenever we do get to see you.